Hello and welcome to the series of Machine Learning with Python. My name is Shruti Asarkar and I am your instructor for this course. So in previous video, I gave you an introduction to machine learning. So in this video, I am going to cover the types of machine learning algorithm in which I am going to cover supervised learning, unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning with examples. Then I'm going to cover about regression, classification, then machine learning life cycle, then simple linear regression, multiple linear regression and polynomial regression with implementation. So let's begin. So first type is supervised learning. So supervised learning is one of the most common type of your machine learning methodology. The concept of this learning focuses on the labeling of the data, labeling of the training data. So labeling of the data, that means the data consisting of set of training examples, where each example is a pair consisting of some input and some desired output value. So for example, here every Donald Duck cartoon is labeled as Donald Duck. And same for the Mickey Mouse, every Mickey Mouse cartoon is labeled as here a Mickey Mouse. So that the system knows the labels. So this is our input raw data. Okay, so let's take a simple example before we are digging into a technical part. The simple example of baby. How a baby learns the things. Well, see an example. We have shown this two pictures to a baby. Okay, so we told the baby that this is the picture of Donald Duck and this is the picture of Mickey Mouse. While learning these two things, the baby keeps into the mind if the cartoon wears a blue color of t-shirt and wear a blue cap, having a yellow color of beak and legs are of yellow color, then this is the Donald Duck cartoon. And if the cartoon having a black color of nose, black color of ears, wearing a yellow color of shoes and wearing a red pant, then the cartoon is of Mickey Mouse. Now suppose we have showed this third picture and ask baby to find out the cartoon is either Donald Duck or of Mickey Mouse. So the moment you show this third picture to a baby, he will identify and say, yeah, it's a Donald Duck because we have already labeled these two pictures into two categories. So the baby knows what is Donald Duck, what is Mickey Mouse. So this is how your baby learns. And same way, the supervised algorithm works. The basic idea of supervised algorithm is your data provides the example of situation and for each example, it specifies some outcome. The machine will use the training data to build the model which can predict the outcome of the new data based on say your past examples. So in our example, every Donald Duck cartoon is labeled as Donald Duck and every Mickey Mouse cartoon is labeled as Mickey Mouse. So the system knows the labels. Okay, now when the system is subjected to the new type of Donald Duck cartoon, it will identify it as and this is a Donald Duck cartoon without being explicitly programmed to do so. Now, unsupervised learning. So, unlike supervised learning, the training data is not labeled here. So, the system intakes and learns that there is a recurring pattern in one type of items or values and the others. So, let's understand the concept by taking an example of baby again. Now, we have shown a group of this Donald Ducks, Noddy and Mickey Mouse to a baby, and let's say baby hasn't seen those cartoon pictures earlier, so baby doesn't know what are the feature of those cartoons, so he is not able to categorize the cartoon as supervised learning example do. So in case of your supervised learning scenario, the baby knew what are the feature of those cartoons because we showed the picture earlier. In this case, baby doesn't know anything. There is no labeling. So baby cannot recognize which is Donald Duck, which one is the Mickey Mouse, and which one is the Noddy. But looking at the picture, baby can easily tell the picture number 1, 4, and 5 looks same. The picture number 2, 3, 6 looks similar, and the picture number 7, 8, 9 looks alike. Labeling to the cartoon is not possible, but still we can find the patterns here. So that's how the unsupervised learning works. So the system will not know the Donald Duck and say the Mickey Mouse and other one is Noddy, but it knows both are different categories and places them so. So in this case, training data provides an example, but we have no specific outcome. In simple word, there is no label associated with this learning. So here, in case of your unsupervised learning, a machine tries to find the interesting pattern in the data. Okay, so then we have a reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning is defined as a machine learning method that is concerned with the software agents should take action in an environment. That is, this method deals with the learning via interaction and feedback, or say in other words, learning to solve a task by trial and error, or say in another words, acting in an environment and receiving rewards for it. That is, reinforcement learning is a reward based learning. The algorithm, or say the agent, learns from its surrounding environment. The environment contains some reward and penalties. The model performs various actions. It receives a reward for the correct action and get penalties for the improper action. The model is defined as to maximize the rewards and minimize its penalties. It always tries to leverage itself from previous examples and tries not to repeat a wrong action again or do a correct action every time. So this is a dynamic learning environment where the agent needs to respond correctly with his action. So let's think of the computer program that solves, suppose, a maze. First, it makes many mistakes, but improves after every decision it takes. So repeating the action continuously, it eventually become a better player. This is a simple example of your reinforcement learning. So here there are important terminologies, that is agent. The agent is nothing but it is assumed that entity which performs action in an environment to gain some rewards. Okay, then what is environment? Environment is a scenario that agent has to face to get some kinds of rewards. So what is reward? Reward is nothing but an immediate return given to the agent when he or she performs specific actions. Okay, so state. This state here, the state refers to the current situation written by the environment. Then the next term is policy. Policy, which is denoted here a pi, it is a strategy which applies by the agent to decide the next action based on the current action, which is your policy. Then you have a value. Value is expected long-term return with discount as compared to the short-term reward. That means I will give you the example. In the next example, the value will be, the long-term reward is your diamond. In the next example, you will get to know. Then value function. The value function specifies the value of state, that is the total amount of reward. It is an agent which should be expecting a beginning from that state. Then model of environment we have. Model of environment is nothing but a mimic of this environment, but behavior, or say behavior of the environment. It helps you to make the inference to be made and also determine how environment will behave. Then we have a model based methods. So model based method is nothing but a method for solving a reinforcement learning problem which use model based methods. Then we have a Q value, or say Q action value Q. So the Q value is quite similar to a value. So the only difference between those two, Q value and the value, is that it takes an additional parameter as a current action. Okay, so let's begin with this example. So here we have a problem statement. How do we train a robot? This is a robot. So how do we train this robot to reach the end goal with the shortest path without stepping up into the mine? Okay, so calculate the maximum expected future reward for the action at each state. So there are basically 4 actions that robot has to take. That is left, right, upward and downward. And there are 5 number of states as shown here. That is the start state, then we have a power state, then nothing or a blank state, then this is the mind state, and last one is the end state. So robot improves at every iteration. So in the beginning, the robot will explore the environment and chooses actions randomly. The logic behind that, the robot does not know anything about environment. So during the process of exploration, the robot progressively becomes more confident and in estimating the correct path like shown here. So finally robot will get the diamond. Okay, so this is the concept of your reinforcement learning. Okay, so then we have a supervised learning algorithm, which is a task driven and has 2 types, that is classification and regression. Unsupervised algorithm, which is a data driven and has again 2 types, that is clustering and association. Then reinforcement learning we have, that is algorithms learns to react to an environment. It again includes the types called Q-learning and Monte Carlo. Then in regression, these are the algorithms. In classification, these are few algorithms. Now let's begin with the machine learning life cycle. So machine learning has given the computer system the abilities to automatically learn without being explicitly programmed. Okay, so are you with me for this statement? Yes, but how does the machine learning system work? So it can be described using this life cycle of your machine learning. So machine learning life cycle is the process to build a machine learning project. The main purpose of this life cycle is to find a solution to a problem or say project. Okay, so the first there are this 7 major steps includes in case of your machine learning life cycle. So the first step is the data set collection. So data set collection is nothing but the gathering of the data, which is your first step of your machine learning life cycle. So the main goal of this step is to identify and obtain all the data related problem. In this step, we need to identify the different data sources. So the sources, that means the data which can be collected from various sources like your internet say, or say mobile devices, or from the files, databases, etc. So it is one of the most important steps in case of your machine learning life cycle. Why? Because if the data set you are collected is wrong, so it badly affects on the other or the next steps included in case of your machine learning life cycle. So this is really very important step of the life cycle. So the quantity and the quality of the collected data will determine the efficiency of the output. The more will be the data, the more accurate will be the predictions. So these steps includes the task like identify the various data sources from where you collected the data, like internet, mobile, or from the mobile devices, or say from the YouTube or anything, etc. Then collect the data. This is the second step is involved in case of your dataset collection. And the third step involved is integrate the data obtained from the different sources. So by performing all these tasks in this dataset collection, we get a coherent set of data and we referred it as a data set. So it will be used in further steps. So the next step is after data set collection, the data retrieval is there. So retrieving data is also again a important step. Then after retrieving the data, we need to prepare it for the further steps. So data preparation is the step where we put our data into the suitable place and prepare it to use in our machine learning training. So in this step, first we put all the data together and randomize the ordering of the data. So this step again divided into a data pre-processing and wrangling, then feature extraction and feature scaling and selection. So again, or say in case of data preparation, you have to explore the data and pre-process the data. So what is exploration of the data? So it is used to understand the nature of the data that we have to work with. So we need to understand the characteristics or say format and the quality of the data that we have to, on which we have to work in the future. And in case of data pre-processing, which is the next step for, we have to pre-process the data for its analysis. So what exactly the data pre-processing and wrangling will discuss. So it is the process of cleaning and converting raw data into a usable format. So it is the process of cleaning the data, selecting the variable to use, transforming the data into a proper format to make a suitable for analysis in the next step. Okay, so it is one of the most important step of complete process. So cleaning of the data is required to address the quality issues. So it is necessary that the data we have collected is always of our use, as some of the data may not be useful. In real world application, collected data may have various issues, like the data have some missing values. The data can be a duplicate data. It can be a invalid data, or data contains some noise. So we use a various filtering techniques to clean the data. Then we extract the features from the data and scale and select the features we need that on which we need to work. Then it is mandatory to detect and remove the issues because it can negatively affect the quality of the outcome. So the next step is to clean and prepare the data is passed on the analysis step. Okay, so in case of analysis, you have to select any analytical technique, build some model and review the result. So the aim of this step is to building a machine learning model to analyze the data using various analysis technique or analytical techniques, and you have to review the outcome. So it starts with the determination of type of problem, where we select the machine learning technique such as your classification, regression, cluster analysis, association, etc. Then build the model using prepared data. Then you have to evaluate the model. Then the next step is the training the model. So in this stage, we have to train our model to improve its performance for better outcome of the problem. So we use the data set to train the model using various machine learning algorithms. So we'll discuss what are the algorithms involved in case of your model training. So training a model is required so that it can understand the various patterns, rules and features. Then the next step is the model testing. Once our machine learning model has been trained on a data set, then we test the model. In this step, we check for the accuracy of our model by providing a test data set to it. So testing the model determines the percentage accuracy of the model as per the requirement of the project or problem. And then the last step of this machine learning life cycle is deployment, where we deploy the model in real world system. If above prepared model is producing an accurate result as per the requirement with the acceptable speed, then we deploy the model in the real world. But before deploying the project, we will check whether it is improving its performance using available data or not. The deployment phase is similar to making the final report for your project. Okay, so these are the steps involved in case of your machine learning life cycle, and you need to follow each and every step.
Let's discuss some basic steps to implement a machine learning algorithm. So there are some basic steps involved to implement any machine learning algorithm. So first step, that is import the essential libraries. So we will discuss which libraries we need to import and which libraries there are. Then we have to import the data set. We will again discuss what is data set, why do we need a data set, right? After importing the data set, we need to extract the dependent and independent variable. In a research, variables are any characteristics that can take on different values such as say height, age, species, exam score. So the variables in a study of cause and effect relationship are called the independent and the dependent variable. The independent variable is the cause and the dependent variable is the effect. For example, if you want to find out the independent variable and dependent variable for how does phone use before bedtime affect your sleep. In this case, the independent variable is the amount of phone use before the bed, and the dependent variables are the number of hours of sleep and the quantity of the sleep. Okay, after extracting the independent and dependent variable, we need to split the data set into training and testing. This again we will discuss in upcoming slide. After that, we need to fit the algorithm or classifier to the training set. Here we have to fit the model, that is model fitting is a measure of how well a machine learning model generalizes to similar data to that on which it was trained. It is the essence of machine learning. We have to fit the algorithms such as say SVM, decision tree, etc. to training the set. If your model doesn't fit your data correctly, the outcome it produces will not be accurate enough to be useful for practical decision making. After that, we need to predict the test set results. Okay, once we have predicted the test set result, we need to draw a confusion matrix. By using a confusion matrix, we can analyze the performance of constructed model. So the summary of this measurement is represented as the confusion matrix. Once we have drawn the confusion matrix, we need to visualize the training set. So first step was importing essential libraries. So let's go here. So there are few libraries involved in case of the Python. So let's say step by step. Scientific computer libraries in Python builds upon a packages such as say pandas. So pandas providing a high performance, easy to use data structure. This library can be imported by using import pandas as PD. After that, we have a NumPy. Again, NumPy is a fundamental package for numerical computation. It defines the numerical array and the matrix type and basic operations on them. So this can be imported by using import NumPy as NP. Then we have a SciPy. SciPy is the collection of numerical algorithm and domain specific toolboxes, including say signal processing, optimization, statistics and much more. So it is basically useful for integrals, solving differential equations and optimization. So we can import this library by using import SciPy as SP. Okay, after that we have a visualization library. I hope you heard the phrase that is a picture is a worth of 1,000 words. So visualizing data plays a crucial role in representing the small as well as the large scale data. So to visualize data, there are some libraries used in case of Python, which teach you how to take the data that at first glance has a little meaning and present that data in the form that makes sense of people. There are several data visualization libraries in case of Python, such as say Matplotlib. So this is a mature and popular plotting package that provide a publication quality 2D plotting as well as 3D plotting. So we can import these libraries by using import matplotlib as MPL and import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. We have the Seaborn. Seaborn is a Python with data visualization library based on the Matplotlib. So it is used to plot such as heat maps, time series, Whiling plot. So we can import the Seaborn library as import Seaborn as SNS. Then we have algorithmic library. So scikit-learn and stat models are the famous libraries in case of the algorithmic libraries. So scikit-learn, which we will use to implement our machine learning algorithms, such as say regression, classification, and second library we have stats model. This provides you the classes and function for the estimation of many differential model as well as for conducting the statistical test and statistical data exploration. So data set, if we break the complete word, we get that is data and set, that is set or say collection of data. So this data set corresponds to the contents of single database table or single statistical data matrix, where every column of table represents a particular variable. Now the question arises in your mind, that is, why do we need a data set? See, a machine learning, deep learning depends heavily on the data. Without data, it is impossible for machine learning, deep learning to learn. So it is the most important part that makes a machine learning and deep learning algorithm training possible. Remember, if your data set is not good enough, your entire machine learning and deep learning project will fail. So I have seen a fantastic project fail because we didn't have a good data set despite having the perfect use case, and we also had a very skilled data scientist as well as machine learning students. We want a meaningful data related to our project. So we can say correct data set collection is a very important in case of your machine learning and deep learning project. So now let us discuss about the first two data sets we need, that is your training data set and testing data set, because they are used for different purposes during machine learning and deep learning project. Important about this training data set and testing data set is that success of your project is totally depend, or you can say it depends on a lot on them. So here we can see that is there is a splitting, that is training data set is splitted into training and validation. Okay, here training data set is the one used to train an algorithm to understand how to apply concepts such as say neural network to learn and produce the result. So here the sample of data used to fit the model. We are referring training data set as the actual data set that we use to train the model from this data. Model sees and learns from here. Then we have a validation data set, right? So validation data set, that is the sample of data used to provide an unbiased evaluation of a model fit on the training data set while tuning the model hyperparameters. So the evaluation becomes more biased as the skill on the validation dataset is incorporated into the model configuration. So the validation dataset is used to evaluate a given model, but this is for frequent evaluation. We as a machine learning engineers or a data scientist use this data to fine tune the model hyperparameter. Hence the model occasionally sees this data but never does it learn from this. We can use the validation set results and update higher level hyperparameters. So the validation set affects the model but only indirectly. The validation set is also known as a dev set or the development set. So this makes sense since this data set helps during the development stage of the model. Okay, then we have the test data set, right? So test data set, the sample of the data used to provide an unbiased evaluation of a final model fit on the training data set. The test data set provides a gold standard used to evaluate the model. So it is only used once a model is completely trained using the train and validation set. The test set is generally what is used to evaluate the competing models. Many times a validation set is used as a test set, but it is not good practice. The test set is generally well curated and it contains carefully sampled data that spans the various classes that the model would face when used in case of the real world. So you again have a question, that is, what is dataset split ratio and what does dataset do? You might be looking for how to split the data into training, validation and test set, right? So this mainly depends on two things. First, the total number of sample in your data, and second, on the actual model you are training. So some model needs substantial data to train upon. So in this case you would optimize for large training sets. So model with a very few hyperparameters will be easily validate and tune. So you can probably reduce the size of your validation set, but if your model has many hyperparameters, you would want to have a large validation set as well. Also, if you happen to have a model with no hyperparameters or ones that cannot be easily tuned, you probably don't need a validation set too. All in all, like many other things in machine learning, the train test validation split ratio is a quite specific to your use case, and it gets easier to make the judgment as you can build more and more models. So there is a particular note whenever you are using a cross validation. So many times people first split the data set into two, that is, say, train and test, right? After this they keep aside the test set and randomly chooses, for example, let's say they are randomly chooses X% of their train data set to be the actual train set, and remaining, that is, say, 100 minus X% to be the validation set, where this X is fixed, say 80%. Okay, the model is then iteratively trained and validated on this different set. There are multiple ways to do this and it is commonly known as the cross validation. Basically, you use your training set to generate multiple splits of the train and validation set. So this cross validation avoids overfitting and getting more and more popular, with the k-fold cross validation being the most popular method of cross validation. So in real world, we will never have a clean and perfect data set. Each data set will have some strange or missing parts, okay, or say imbalanced data. Or as a data scientist or working with a machine learning, deep learning project, we will introduce some errors or deficiency to our model. One of the main reasons for this, that we want our model to be able to describe an underlying pattern. Unfortunately, the nature of real life data is that it comes with some level of noise and outliers. And for the most part, we want the model to capture the signal in the data and not noise. So there is a terminology to describe how well a machine learning and deep learning model learn and generalize to new data. That is your overfitting and underfitting as well as your good fitting. The goal of good machine learning model is to generalize well form the training data set to any data set from the problem domain. Okay. So now let's discuss what is overfitting, underfitting and good fitting model. So as you can see on the screen, the overfitting model. So this model is the most complex due to the complicated curve, as here you can see, which is with a higher degree. So this is an example of overfitting model because it is greedily attempting to fit almost every instances or say data point, right? So such model has higher variance, and learning model which has a higher variance is called your overfitting. Then we have the underfit model. So this is the example of underfit model. Why? Because most of the instances or say your data points are not on this line or not even near to the line. Okay, so that is for most of the instances the prediction is not accurate. Technically this model is said to have high bias, that is if the learning model which has a high bias for a given data, then the model is said to be underfit. That which one is the good fit or just right fit model or say robust model? So here you can see the curve is like that, which again are more complicated than the straight line and less complex than curve which with much higher degree. Okay, so this is just a right fit model because it is neither overfitting nor underfitting. That is most of the points are on the curve and near to the curve, right? So similarly, example of underfitting, right fitting and overfitting in the classification problem can be demonstrated by using this. So classification is the most common method used in case of the statistics and say machine learning. So in classification, some past training data is used to build a learning model that is called a classifier. So it is again supervised learning problem where some past data or say training data is collected, analyzed and used to construct some classifier by using classification algorithm. So here I have constructed the diagram, that is in which you can see here we have some past data or say training data which is collected and analyzed and used to construct some classifier. Okay, so this is CA, that is your classification algorithm. So by using this algorithm we have constructed some classifier. Okay, now when the new observation will given as the input to the classifier to predict its class. So here we'll get some class of the test data set. We will discuss what is regression in the upcoming slides or in case of the simple linear regression. So classification involves this algorithms that we will discuss in upcoming videos, and regression contains this algorithm which we are going to discuss in upcoming videos. So these are the concepts of machine learning with Python. I hope you are enjoying the videos. Please keep learning, enjoy learning, and please do not forget to press the like button, share with your friends and subscribe the channel. Thank you.